Life is not fair. It doesn't hand out justice in equal portions. It doesn't care if you're tired or if you've already been through enough. It comes with storms, some you see coming, and others that show up out of nowhere and tear through your plans, your peace, and your confidence without apology. And for many women, adversity doesn't just knock on the door, it kicks it down. You wake up every day with responsibilities stacked on your shoulders, with expectations that stretch far beyond what anyone should have to carry. You fight battles no one sees. You wipe your own tears in the silence of the night and still rise in the morning as if nothing happened. That's not weakness, that's resilience, and that resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Resilience is forged in the fire. It's what you earn in the middle of heartbreak, failure, and rejection. It's born when everything inside you says, stay down, but some small voice, somewhere deep inside you whispers, not yet. And that whisper, that's the beginning of your comeback. Adversity will try to redefine you. It will try to tell you that you are your past, that you are your pain, that you are your losses. It will tell you that because you were knocked down, you must not be strong. But resilience is about pushing back against that lie. Resilience says, I may have bent, but I did not break. Resilience says, I took the hit, but I am still standing. Every woman who has ever risen after falling has met resilience face to face. She may not have felt brave at the time. She may have cried through it, doubted through it, screamed through it, but she kept going, and that's what separates the defeated from the unshakable. Resilience doesn't mean you feel okay. It means you choose to move anyway, you show up anyway, you believe in a better day even when all you've seen lately are storms. It's in the decision to stand back up, not because it's easy, but because staying down is not an option. Some people will see your resilience and call it luck. They'll say she's just strong like that, but they don't see the nights you questioned everything. They don't see the moments you almost gave up. They don't see the war behind your smile, but that's okay. Because resilience isn't for them. It's for you, and when you choose to rise again and again, you're not just surviving. You're showing the world, and more importantly yourself, that adversity is not the end of your story. You're rewriting the script. You're taking control of the narrative. You're saying, yes, I fell, but I got up bruised, tired, heartbroken, and I kept going. Resilience is what happens when quitting is loud, but your purpose is louder. It's what happens when fear shouts, and you decide to whisper back, try me. It's the quiet strength of a woman who has every reason to give up, but doesn't, who stands up with shaking knees and dares to keep walking forward anyway. This kind of strength can't be faked. It can't be borrowed. You don't learn it in comfort. You find it in the hard places, in the loss, in the silence, in the moments no one claps for you. You build it in the tension between who you are and who you're becoming. And every time you get back up, you add to that strength. You add to that legacy because resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about rising different than before, wiser, sharper, stronger. It's about becoming someone who knows that no matter what happens, self-doubt doesn't scream, it whispers. It hides in the quiet moments when you're lying in bed at night wondering if you're really good enough, if you really have what it takes, if maybe everyone else was right about you. It shows up when you're about to say yes to a new opportunity, and that voice inside says, who do you think you are? Self-doubt is not always loud. Sometimes it sounds like logic. Sometimes it dresses up as humility. It tells you to play it safe, to stay small, to not make a scene. It convinces you that dreaming big is dangerous because it leaves room for failure. So you shrink, you wait. You hope that someone will come along and give you permission to be great, but permission never comes. Because the truth is, no one can silence that voice for you. That's your job, self. Doubt is a thief. It steals your potential before you even begin. It doesn't wait until you're defeated. It tries to convince you not to try at all. It tells you that your past defines you, that one mistake, one setback, one rejection, that's all you'll ever be. It tells you that someone else is already doing it better, so why bother? And it's relentless. It doesn't care how talented you are, how kind you are, how hard you work. It'll still find cracks in your confidence and try to crawl through. It will tell you that your voice doesn't matter, that your story isn't powerful enough, that you're too broken to be chosen, too late to start, too far behind to catch up. But here's the truth, self-doubt is a liar, and it gets louder the closer you get to something meaningful. It's a signal not that you're not ready, but that you're stepping into territory you were made for. That voice only rises up when you're about to grow, about to change, about to rise, overcoming self-doubt doesn't mean you stop hearing that voice. It means you learn to answer back. You learn to challenge the lies. You start replacing them with truths, even if you don't feel them yet. You stop asking for confidence and start choosing courage, because confidence is the result, courage is the decision. You don't have to feel ready to move. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a cheerleading squad. What you need is one bold moment of defiance, 1 second of courage to say, maybe I don't have it all together, but I'm still going, one step forward even if your knees are shaking. And it's not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you can trust your own voice again. That the voice of fear doesn't get the final word, that just because you've doubted yourself in the past doesn't mean you're not capable now. Your worth is not based on your mistakes. It's not based on your performance. It's not based on how loud or quiet your fear is. It's already in you, and you don't have to earn it. You just have to stop running from it. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It doesn't need you to have it all figured out. It just needs you to show up real, raw, and willing. Because the very things you think disqualify you might be the exact things that make you powerful. You silence self-doubt by doing the thing it told you you couldn't do. You weaken it every time you raise your hand, speak your truth, step into the room, take the risk, make the call, write the story, start again. It doesn't disappear all at once, but every time you move in spite of it, it loses ground. Every time you stand up for yourself, especially when no one else does, you remind the fear that it doesn't get to drive anymore. There's a voice inside you that no one else hears. It speaks in the moments between the noise when the world quiets down and you're left alone with your own thoughts. That voice, it's the most powerful thing you own. It can build you or it can break you. And most of the time, it's not the outside world that holds you back. It's that voice inside your head. We are taught from early on to listen to everyone else. Parents, teachers, friends, critics, the world. We are handed labels and limits and expectations. And over time, that external noise becomes internal belief. Before you even know it, your inner voice stops sounding like you. It starts sounding like fear, like shame, like insecurity dressed up as truth. It tells you to settle, to stay quiet, to dim your light so others feel comfortable. But what no one tells you is this: that voice is not fixed. It's not your fate. You are not stuck with the tone it was trained to take. You can rewire it. You can reteach it. You can take that voice that once told you you're not enough and teach it to say, I am more than enough. But first, you have to catch it. That's the hard part. Most people don't even notice how cruel they are to themselves, how many times a day they whisper defeat into their own ears. I can't do this. I'm not smart enough, and no one will listen to me. Who am I to try? These aren't just thoughts. These are seeds, and every time you repeat them, you water them, you grow them, and they become your reality. The most dangerous enemy is the one you let live in your mind rent-free, the one that's been repeating the same lie for years until you start mistaking it for truth. But the moment you realize that your inner voice is under your control, everything changes. You begin to question the script. You start rewriting the lines. You don't silence the voice, you redirect it. You start saying things you don't fully believe yet, not because you're faking confidence, but because you're planting new seeds. I deserve better. I am capable. I'm allowed to grow. I'm allowed to take up space. And at first it feels uncomfortable. It feels like lying, but it's not a lie. It's a decision. It's you deciding to believe in a version of yourself that exists beyond the fear. And that decision, that changes everything, because your inner voice sets the tone for your entire life. The way you talk to yourself shapes how you show up in the world. It affects how you walk into a room, how you handle failure, how you respond to rejection, how you pursue your dreams. If your inner voice is weak, your actions will be too. If it's strong, grounded, kind, you become unstoppable. This isn't about being delusional or pretending life is easy. It's about choosing not to be your own enemy. It's about turning the most intimate, most private, most constant relationship in your life, the one you have with your own mind, into a source of power. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You just have to stop tearing yourself down from the inside. Because long before anyone else believes in you, your inner voice has to believe first. Long before the breakthrough, long before the success, long before the applause, your inner voice is already casting the vote. Every single day, it decides whether you stay stuck or keep moving, whether you rise or retreat, whether you repeat the past or build something new. There's a certain kind of silence that comes with struggle. It's not just the quiet around you, it's the quiet inside you. It's that feeling when the world keeps moving and you're stuck behind your own eyes, wondering if anyone sees you. If anyone really knows what you're carrying. You smile in rooms where your soul is tired. You laugh at things that don't touch you anymore. And somehow, in the middle of everyone, you feel completely alone. But here's what no one tells you when you're breaking inside. What you're feeling is not unique to you. That weight in your chest, that doubt in your mind, that fear that maybe you're not enough, not strong enough, not loved enough, someone else feels that too. Right now, somewhere, someone else is crying in their car before walking into work. Someone else is pretending to be okay because they don't know how to explain what hurts. Someone else is scrolling through life, feeling like everyone has it figured out except them. You're not the only one. We've become masters at hiding. We dress up our pain in perfection. We post highlight reels and call it truth. We avoid deep questions because we're scared of deep answers. We don't want to admit we're struggling because struggle has been painted as weakness. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Struggle is human, and the moment we start sharing it, really sharing it, we realize how not alone we actually are. Because everyone's fighting something. That strong woman you admire, she's had nights where she broke down and didn't tell a soul. That confident voice you hear on stage, they've had days they questioned everything about themselves. Pain doesn't always look broken. Sometimes it looks composed. Sometimes it looks successful, but it's still pain. And when you know that, you stop assuming that everyone else is doing better than you. You start giving yourself permission to feel without guilt. The truth is, most people aren't looking for someone to fix them. They're looking for someone to understand them. To say, me too, instead of just get over it. To say, I've been there, instead of you should be stronger than this. We heal when we're seen. We rise when we're understood, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply say, I'm not okay right now. That kind of honesty is rare, but it's also contagious. When you share your truth, you create space for others to share theirs. When you let down the armor, you invite connection. You remind someone else that they're not the only one trying to hold it together, and suddenly what felt like isolation becomes community. What felt like weakness becomes a bridge. You are not the only one who's lost someone and had to keep going. You're not the only one who's doubted your worth, who's failed more times than you can count, who's looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the reflection. You are not the only one who smiled on the outside while screaming on the inside, and knowing that doesn't solve everything, but it shifts something. It reminds you that healing doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in connection. We were never meant to walk through life pretending we don't bleed. We were meant to reach out, to speak up, to lean in when it's hard. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to do it alone. Just knowing that someone else understands, that someone else has been in the dark and found their way back to the light, can be enough to keep going. Because connection doesn't need perfection, it just needs honesty, and sometimes the strongest words you can whisper to yourself in the middle of the mess are simple but powerful: I am not alone. Pain changes you, it marks you. It carves into your life without warning, without mercy, and without asking for permission. It doesn't care if you were ready. It doesn't care what else you were already carrying. One day everything feels normal, and the next something shifts. Something breaks, someone leaves, a door closes, a dream slips through your hands, and just like that, you find yourself standing in a storm you didn't see coming. But pain doesn't just hurt. It speaks. It tells stories about who you are and what you're worth. It'll try to convince you that because something bad happened, you must be broken. That the setback, the betrayal, the loss, it must mean you were never good enough in the first place. And if you're not careful, you start to believe that the pain is the main character in your story, that the trauma is your identity. That survival is all you'll ever get to know. But pain is not the end. It's not the definition. It's a chapter, not the conclusion. And buried somewhere inside that pain is something else, something greater. Purpose, not in spite of what hurt you, but because of it. Purpose over pain doesn't mean you pretend it didn't happen. It doesn't mean you minimize what broke you. It means you stop letting it be the only thing that defines you. It means you decide to use it, to rise with it, to build from it, to help someone else who doesn't know how to find their way through. You turn the wound into wisdom. You take what tried to silence you and turn it into your message. Some of the strongest people you will ever meet didn't become that way in comfort. They were forged in fire, they learned the hard way, and they came through not with bitterness, but with purpose. They didn't escape pain, they transformed it. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to feel strong every day. But you do need to believe that what you went through isn't wasted. That the loss you faced, the betrayal you survived, the trauma you endured, none of it disqualifies you from a future. In fact, it might be the very thing that qualifies you to lead, to speak, to love more deeply, to fight harder for what matters. There's someone out there who needs the story you're still ashamed to tell. There's someone going through the exact same darkness you once fought through. And when you decide to stop hiding the pain, when you let it be fuel, not chains, you open the door for healing. Not just yours, but someone else's too. Purpose doesn't mean you enjoy the pain. It means you rise in spite of it. It means you refuse to let what happened to you keep you from becoming who you were born to be. It means you turn the page when everything in you wants to close the book. It's easy to stay stuck in the questions. Why did this happen? Why me? But purpose doesn't live in the questions. It lives in the response. It lives in the choice to take one more step, to keep breathing, to show up again and again, not because it's easy, but because something in you knows there's more. Something in you believes that this pain isn't where your story ends. You don't have to understand the purpose before you choose to pursue it. You don't have to feel healed to start walking in it. You just have to decide that the pain will not be the loudest voice in your life. That your story will be written in strength, not shame, that there is meaning buried beneath every scar, and your job isn't to avoid the pain, it's to rise with it and lead anyway. Falling isn't the failure, staying down is, because the truth is everyone falls, everyone. Life doesn't ask for your permission before it brings you to your knees. It doesn't give you a warning before it pulls the rug out from under your feet. It tests your strength when you least expect it. One bad moment, one painful season, one broken relationship, and suddenly the world feels too heavy to carry. But the most powerful people are not the ones who have never been knocked down. They are the ones who refuse to stay down. The ones who didn't let the fall define them, the ones who got up bleeding, broken, tired, and still chose to stand. You don't just rise once, you rise again and again and again, each time with more grit, more fire, more proof that what tried to break you did not succeed. There's a lie out there that says strong women always have it together, that strength is about never crying, never breaking, never questioning. But real strength is much louder in the quiet moments when no one's clapping, when you've lost count of how many times you've started over, when you have every excuse to give up and still choose to keep going. Every rise doesn't look the same. Sometimes you get up bold, ready to fight. Other times you drag yourself forward with tears in your eyes, unsure if you can make it one more step. But every single time you choose to rise, you reclaim your power. You remind the world and yourself that you're still here. That the fire in you might flicker, but it will not go out. Life doesn't hand out victory. It demands resilience. It asks you to show up again after the doors have closed. It challenges you to keep moving forward even when the path isn't clear. And sometimes it asks you to be your own motivation, to clap for yourself, believe in yourself, and speak life to yourself when no one else does. And yes, it's exhausting. Rising over and over again wears on your soul. There are days when it would be easier to just stay down, to stop trying, stop hoping, stop reaching. But every rise rebuilds something in you. Every time you stand back up, you collect strength, you collect wisdom. You collect proof that no matter how many times life tries to bury you, it cannot erase you. There will be voices from others and from within that tell you it's too late, that you've failed too many times, that you don't have the strength to start again. But those voices aren't the truth. They are echoes of fear, not fact, and they lose their power every time you defy them. You rise not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You rise for your future, for your healing, for your voice. You rise for the younger version of yourself who thought she would never make it out. And you rise for the woman you're still becoming, the one who is stronger than you even realize. You're not fragile because you've fallen. You're not weak because you've struggled. You are powerful because you refuse to stay where the pain left you. Your journey is not defined by the falls. It's defined by your refusal to quit. Your legacy is built in the moments no one sees, when you get back up quietly and choose to move forward without fanfare, without applause, and without certainty. This is not about a single comeback. This is about becoming someone who keeps coming back, someone who refuses to be counted out, someone who rises not once, not twice, but every single time she's knocked down, someone who understands that strength isn't proven in the first step, but in the decision to take the next one, and then the next, and then the next. You've been through storms that were meant to silence you. You've battled voices inside and out that told you to quit. You've carried pain, self-doubt, and pressure that no one else could see, but through it all, something in you kept whispering, "Don't give up." That whisper, that was your power, that was your inner voice, that was your resilience, that was your purpose reaching through the pain and calling you higher. You may have fallen 1,000 times, but you are still standing. That is your proof. Proof that you are more than what hurt you. Proof that you are more than the mistakes, more than the heartbreak, more than the fear. Proof that you are not alone. That your story matters, that your rise matters. And now you don't just rise for yourself. You rise for every woman who hasn't found her voice yet. You rise for the ones still sitting in silence, waiting for someone to go first. You rise because your healing is someone else's hope. Your strength is someone else's survival guide. So when life tries to break you again, and it will, don't question who you are. Don't question why it hurts. Just remember what's inside you: strength, purpose, fire, a voice, and the unshakable power to rise again. Girl, get up and keep getting up, because you were never meant to stay down.